Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.
Okay, so picture this. You're all ready for Christmas, flights booked, presents wrapped, and then bam, you see it on the news, the government might shut down.
Yeah, talk about a holiday surprise. Nobody wants that, right?
Definitely not the kind of gift you're looking for.
Not at all. And it's really happening. We're recording this on December 20th, 2024. And the U.S. government is teetering on the edge of a shutdown, all because Congress can't seem to agree on a spending bill.
And we know you, our listeners, want to know what's going on. So we've been digging through a ton of news articles from sources like the New York Post, CBS, Reuters, ABC, trying to get to the bottom of this whole mess.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to unpack.
We do, and you're not going to believe this. One of the big players in this whole drama is Donald Trump.
Yeah, you heard right. The former president is back in the spotlight, and it's shaking things up.
Okay, so before we get into the Trump of it all, can we just back up for a second, explain what a government shutdown even means?
Right, because it sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, does everything just stop?
Well, in a nutshell, the government needs a budget to operate right, and that budget has to be approved by Congress. If they can't agree on a budget, the government runs out of money to do pretty much anything.
So no more paying people who work for the government.
That's a big part of it. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees could be furloughed, which means they're sent home without pay. And then all sorts of government services get disrupted. Everything from national parks to passport processing could be affected.
Wow, so it's not just like a day off for everyone.
Definitely not. It has a ripple effect throughout the whole economy. Think about it. Businesses that rely on government contracts could be put on hold. Travel could be disrupted because TSA agents are furloughed. The list goes on.
So how did we even get to this point?
Well, the government's fiscal year starts on October 1st. And ideally by then, Congress should pass a budget for the entire year. But this year, they couldn't agree. So they did what they often do. They kicked the can down the road with a temporary funding bill called a continuing resolution.
Ah, so like a Band-Aid solution.
Exactly. It was supposed to give them until December 20th today to figure out a long-term plan, but as you can see, that didn't quite pan out.
Clearly not. So they were trying to pass this big omnibus bill. What was in that thing anyway, and why did it fail?
So this omnibus bill was massive, over 1,500 pages long, and it was basically supposed to fund the government through March 2025. It included all kinds of things: disaster relief money for Ukraine, military spending, even stuff about regulating artificial intelligence. It was a huge mixed bag.
It's complicated.
Oh, it was, and that was part of the problem. Yeah. It became a political football with Democrats and Republicans fighting over pretty much everything. Some Republicans didn't like how much money it would spend. Others were unhappy with specific provisions like the aid to Ukraine or the AI regulations. It was just too much for them to agree on.
So that's where Trump comes in with his own proposal, right?
Yeah.
Trying to save the day or maybe just stir the pot.
Maybe a bit of both. His proposal was for a shorter-term funding bill, just 3 months' worth. It also included a suspension of the debt limit for 2 years, which would basically prevent the U.S. from defaulting on its debts. And it had a big chunk of money for disaster relief.
Sounds like he was trying to find some middle ground.
Yeah, you could see it that way, but it didn't really work out as planned.
What happened?
Well, both Democrats and Republicans pushed back against it. A lot of Democrats felt like it didn't address their key priorities, and some Republicans were just wary of anything that looked like a compromise with the Democrats. It also didn't help that Trump kind of threw this proposal out there at the last minute, which made a lot of people suspicious.
So even Trump couldn't get everyone on board?
Nope. It seems like even his influence has its limits.
So let's get back to the shutdown. What are the real-world consequences if they don't reach a deal?
Well, as I mentioned before, hundreds of thousands of federal employees would be furloughed, and that means no paycheck right before Christmas. It would be a huge financial strain on a lot of families. And then there are the disruptions to government services. Think about it. The IRS might slow down processing tax refunds. Passport applications could be delayed. National parks might have to close.
Oh, man, imagine trying to travel during the holidays with a shutdown going on.
It would be a nightmare. TSA lines would be longer, flights could be delayed or even canceled because of staffing shortages at airports. It would definitely put a damper on holiday travel plans.
So what's the latest? Is there any hope that they'll avoid this shutdown?
As of right now, it's a nail-biter. They're still negotiating behind closed doors. House Speaker Mike Johnson is saying he's optimistic, but, politicians always say that. There are a few different options on the table. One is a clean continuing resolution, which would just extend funding at current levels for a short period without addressing any of the controversial stuff. Another option is to hold separate votes on some of the key sticking points, like the debt ceiling or aid to Ukraine.
So it sounds like they're still trying to find a way out of this mess.
They are, but the clock is ticking and the pressure is on. It's really fascinating to watch this whole thing unfold because it shows just how complicated our political system is and how these disagreements in Washington can have a real impact on people's lives.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even if you don't work for the government, what happens in D.C. can affect you.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder what this all means for our democracy. Are these constant government shutdown threats becoming the new normal? Is this just how we're going to govern from now on? It's a question worth thinking about.
Definitely something to ponder as we head into the new year and a new election cycle. Maybe this whole situation will make people more engaged in the political process. Who knows?
I hope so, because ultimately it's up to all of us to hold our elected officials accountable and make sure they're working in our best interests.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with that thought to chew on this holiday season. Maybe bring it up at your family dinner. See what everyone thinks.
Just make sure you have a backup topic, just in case things get too heated.
Good advice. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays!
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.